Did you like the vibe?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, don't forget the show is free, and always remember how much I appreciate your support. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. The thing I'm most excited about is the vibe of this team. I really like the team. I really like coaching the team. I like the way they interact with each other. I like the way they compete with each other. I guess the future and all of what happens here in the next 8-9 months will determine if we say it's a positive or not, but it feels different. This team feels a little different than any of the teams that we've had right now at this point. I'm excited about that. End quote. That was the vibe Lincoln Riley was throwing around after USC spring game on Saturday. I think what Coach Riley was vibing the most about is that he's finally coaching a team that knows how to play defense. Look, even to the most untrained eyes that were watching on Saturday inside the Coliseum, USC's defense looked and felt different than in the past. No doubt about it. Neither you, me, Coach Riley. I don't think we've seen a Trojans defense consistently execute just the basic fundamental skills like tackling, shutting blocks, or get this. How about somebody in the defensive secondary turning and locating the ball in the air? Well, saw a lot of that on Saturday. The Trojans held their spring game over the weekend, and basically the defense came and kind of took whatever it wanted, literally. Hell, there was, during this one stretch of the game, the guys who were wearing Cardinal on offense, the guys who are wearing the gold "Do Not Touch Me" jerseys, they threw 3 interceptions on 3 consecutive offensive series. No bueno, unless you are a big fan of the defense. Now, my everydayers, you're going to remember an episode last week on Locked On USC when I relayed to you what linebacker Eric Gentry said. Quote, "We do something called 116 after every workout, 116 reps of everything." I guess that's where we were ranked last year defensively. I won't ever forget that number just because we were doing 116 after. What we're doing is we're holding everybody accountable. Look, who knows? I don't know if they would have gotten 116 turnovers in a full game, but in the truncated spring game that they played on Saturday, the defense was on pace to collect 50 turnovers, maybe. Whatever defensive coordinator Antonlynn is teaching the guys slowly during the install, it's working. Without a doubt, it's working. And without a doubt, they're quick learners. You kind of like that, especially those guys in the secondary. And Coach Riley said it. That, just to me, just another example of the development. It's plays that good defenses and good secondary players make, and we made most of them. A little tough to tell on the tackling at times when it's thud, but for the most part, it felt like we tackled well on the field. We made plays on the ball. We didn't really bust much really the entire day. So it's a well-coached group. You got 2 of the best guys in the business that are coaching those guys. And when you have that, you see the results of it. End quote. And look, it's not that the quarterbacks were loose or sloppy with their throws. Yeah, they did make a couple of bad decisions, but statistically, not bad. Miller Moss, he completed 16 of 21, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jaden Mayava, he was 15 of 17, 171 yards. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception as well. And Jacoby Covington, just to kind of put an exclamation point on how well the secondary played. After the game, he tweeted something on X where he said, "This is a very unique DB room." By unique, I think what Jacoby was talking about is they're long, they're athletic, they're hungry, and they're well coached. If you watch the game, you remember that one play by transfer cornerback to Carlos Nicholson? That it was that pass breakup. Awesome play. Now, Miller helped him out a little bit, but he could put some more air under the ball. Jacoby Lane was wide open. But still, you saw every inch of 6'4" of DeCarlos Nicholson just making a great play on the ball. So honestly, how many times did you say to yourself during the game, "Oh my God, the cornerbacks, the safeties, they're looking for the ball while it's in the air"? It was just such a welcome sight to watch. And Miller Moss gave the defense a ton of credit after the game. They make you earn it this year, and I think it makes us better as an offense. The biggest kind of area I've noticed it in, it's going back and watching our install cut-ups offensively, and obviously watching them in practice against the defense in the previous years. And there were definitely things that were largely open that are not largely open, for a lack of a better word. So it definitely makes us a lot better offensively, close quote. I think somewhere in Madison, Wisconsin, Alex Grinch's ears are burning because what Miller literally just said, USC's defenders knew what they were doing out there. They were in the right place. So yeah, the secondary stole the show, without a doubt, as well as the ball. But it was the defense in general that just looked more competent. Not more competent than the offense, just more competent than what we're comparing the defense to over the past 2 years. Tackling, being in the right spot, that obnoxious communication that the staff talked about during spring camp. Nickelback, cornerback, Prophet Brown. He had one of the highlights of the game. It was a 106-yard pick six. Yeah, pretty cool. But it was what he said after the game that this is what vibed with me. And hopefully it's vibing with you and anyone else who was paying attention. This is what Prophet said after the game. It's only going to get better. There's a different vibe in the locker room this spring. I feel like we had a lot of guys put their egos down. We really came together as a team, like even without the coaches. And we really just bought into each other. And I feel like throughout this whole spring, whether it's old guys, new guys, young guys, we said we're all the same. And we have one common goal, and that's getting after it every day. End quote. So, did you like the spring game vibe? Were you there? There weren't that many of you. And look, I'm going to be honest, that was really disappointing. But whatever, I'll deal with that on Friday, part of my Friday rant. Overall, I think the defense brought a smile to everyone's face. I was underwhelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed by the defensive line, but I have to keep reminding myself and remind you, Bear Alexander didn't play. And it kind of highlights that USC still needs a couple of guys from the transfer portal. I like what I saw, but they need a couple of guys inside. It is what it is right now. They need some more players. The front seven wasn't watching guys run by them like in the past. So, let's just keep a little bit of perspective. They looked better. They looked competent. They were in the right position. I'm going to break down each position group throughout the week on Locked On USC. We come at you 5 times a week. So make sure you hit that bell notification button. That way you're not going to miss an episode. But again, just general feedback from the spring game on this first show this week. Also, don't forget the offense made some noise. And by the way, it was a welcome sight to see and hear. Talking about that coming up next. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. And hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. And they even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. The defense won the day, okay? But that doesn't mean the offense didn't show up. They gave off some pretty good vibes. Lincoln Riley had a smile on his face. It wasn't just about defense. Going into the spring game, I said I was looking for a few things. And those boxes, I checked them off to my satisfaction. Out of the spring game, I took what I anticipated taking because I'm keeping everything in context. It was spring. Play calling was vanilla on both sides of the ball. It was thud. So you're looking for the little things. Things that, all right, I didn't see that last year. I noticed a little bit different this year. As I mentioned, Lincoln Riley said that the Trojans were going to play a 30-minute simulated football game. Well, the game lasted longer than 30 minutes, but they played 2 halves of thud. It wasn't full tackle. Unless the running game was involved, it was just, hit them hard, wrap them up, but don't take them to the ground. Again, unless you're a running back. Now, during those, precious seconds, what I said is I would be focused on a few things. Most of it was going to be guys playing on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Why? Well, because throughout the spring, I told you how Sean Nua and Coach Josh Henson, they kept describing how, the team's physicality and the new approach to the upcoming season. That's what it was all about. And how they're making both sides of the ball better. Okay. I think I saw some of that instilled attitude, whatever you want to call it, where they were playing through people, playing through their hearts. Again, it's that the play calling was vanilla. There wasn't a lot of exotic stuff going on. It was just guys, putting their hands on the guy in front of them, trying to get around him. Now, the offensive line had some questions. Most of them, kind of hang around the end spots, the tackles. But they didn't look bad. Not against USC's defensive line, they didn't. Both Mason Murphy and Elijah Page, they were able to move their feet. They used their hands really well. They kept the quarterbacks clean. They weren't running around trying to, they weren't stepping up into the pocket. They were able to sit back there. And you could also see them finishing off their blocks. That was really nice. Really, there weren't any noticeable bad beats or anything like that. Jonah Monheim looked really good playing his 5th position on the offensive line. No problems with the snaps. None whatsoever. The backups at tackle, freshman, you had Justin Ta'uanu, looked really good. Tobias Raymond, second-year player, redshirt freshman, he was really solid. By the way, I rode the elevator with his dad from the parking lot when I was on my way over to the Coliseum to the press box. His dad is bigger than Tobias. Huge. If you've ever seen Sam Baker's dad, David Baker, he's in that territory. He's a big man. The USC's offensive interior, the interior line looked good. No problem there. You had Amos Kalalele, you had Emmanuel Prignon, you had Alani Noah. Everybody who got in the game, they held their own. Here's what Miller Moss said. I thought we operated really well as a whole. We just got to eliminate some of those mental mistakes and obviously a couple of bad bounces. But I felt the offense operated as a whole really well and really efficiently. Just got to cut down on mistakes, but this is what that time is for, referring to the spring. There was 3 or 4 penalties in the game on the offensive line, illegal procedure. There was 1 illegal substitution penalty. I don't know how that happened, but again, it did. I liked what I saw from the running backs on offense. Woody Marks, transfer. He had 6 touches. He's going to fit really well into this offense. He showed his pass catching abilities. Quentin Joyner, he got 1 carry. It went for 16 yards. He's going to be a really good running back for USC. True freshman Brian Jackson, he scored a couple of touchdowns, 1 running. He caught a nice little 3-yard dump-off pass. That was the 2nd touchdown of the game. Really nice. However, it was a Marion Peterson, AP. USC's got their own version of AP. He had 9 carries, 41 yards. He also caught 4 passes for 17 yards. He was getting it done. He also, he had the loudest and most physical run of the day. Went for 11 yards, busted a few tackles along the way, but it was the last part of that run. He was kind of standing up. They couldn't get him to the ground. All of a sudden, Mason Cobb comes in with a missile type of thud. Didn't wrap up, just kind of threw his shoulder in there, and Mason got the worst end of it. He was the one slow getting up. I said this last year about Marion Peterson when I saw him. He reminds me of Lendale. On Saturday, he ran like Lendale. Overall, the running game looked really solid. And Coach Riley felt really good about the room too after the game. He said, "We're going to be just fine there. That's going to be a good room." Excited. I think Woody came in and he's been a good leader and a great example for the room. We didn't play him a ton today, but he's played a lot of ball. But he's been really good for us in the spring. I talked previously about Quentin. I think Quentin's going to be a really big part of what we do. I really do. I think he had 1 carry today and he pops it. I tell you, he pops 1 every day. So he's going to be a really good player. And the 2 young guys, Brian, he's certainly come along, and you saw a couple of touchdowns from him today. AP, he ran the ball well. That's a nice room right there. We feel like we can play all 4 guys, which I don't know if we felt like that at this point this early before. We've got some more size in that room as a whole, which has been a big emphasis point. And as you saw today, all 4 certainly are capable of producing. End quote. So I think if we're looking on the opposite side of the ball, the best 2 groups, the way they performed, offensive line, running backs, they showed some physicality. The wide receivers, they were there. They had some nice grabs. But look, they were overshadowed by USC's unique defensive back room. Am I worried? No, not at all. I said it, I'll say it again. Play calling was very vanilla. Nothing, there were no deep throws, maybe 1, 2. Nothing deeper than 30 yards. This was just an opportunity to kind of showcase. Get everybody out in the field. Let's see what they can do in a game type of setting. And I think for the most part, everybody acquitted themselves well. Everybody had a moment. Definitely defense stole the day. Offense had some nice things. But if you were looking for the wide receivers to, making highlight plays, catches left and right, that wasn't happening. It was the running backs. It was the offensive line opening holes. It was just a nice, solid day. I understand why Lincoln Riley has that good vibe while he feels the way he does. I think going forward, I think the team's just going to be okay. Look, they still need some help, without a doubt. They got to get in that transfer portal. They got to get some more help in the middle of that defensive line. But I don't think they're that far away. Just keep working during the offseason. Everything will be just A-okay. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on everything. Right now, new customers, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, and you can do it all on an app that's safe, secure, and really easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. For 2 years, Mike Williams, BMW, Big Mike Williams, you remember the wide receiver, he dominated college football. And I'll tell you what, when he was on the Trojans, he was amazing. And it didn't take him long to show his ability how to coach and develop relationships when he decided to get into high school coaching. Well, BMW, Mike Williams, he's ready to develop a new role, and it's going to happen with USC. It was announced late last week that USC football has hired Trojan legend Mike Williams. He's going to be the program's new director of player development. He's replacing Chris Carter, who held the role for 2 years. He's now the assistant general manager over at UCLA, that thing behind me. When Chris was at USC, he did a heck of a job, though. So, anyways, as director of player development, what they're essentially responsible for is defining, and I don't know what we call it, kind of defining and executing the vision and a strategy for the player experience in a game. In other words, as a former player, what BMW can do is he can liaison with the coach as a coach, but kind of look at it from a player's perspective and say, look, this is how you need to approach things. Look at it this way. This is what Coach Riley or Coach Simmons or whomever, what they're trying to say. This is their vision for you, and this is how you're going to go about it. So let's put together a plan together, and let's see if we can reach those goals. Okay. So that's, in essence, what that role is. And there's more to it, but everything's done behind the scenes. It's going to be really cool, and he's going to be able to, be on campus when recruits are there and say, "Remember me? I'm Mike Williams." So it's been 20 years. Think about it. It's been 20 years since Mike Williams scored for the Trojans. But right now, coming back, he's going to be able to steer future players to USC, right? He's going to use those relation-building skills that he was using at the high school level. He's now going to use it at USC. Once you've been a Trojan and you're brought back into the fold, it's hard not to get excited. And if you're on social media, when Lincoln Riley was breaking the good news to Mike Williams, he brought Matt Leinart in on the conference call. So it was really cool. Matt and Mike, they hooked up together. Matt's first completion as a collegiate quarterback was to Mike Williams in Auburn for a touchdown. Matt has been working behind the scenes, doing a lot of stuff. And so I think he played a large role in getting Mike Williams back in the fold. And what that's doing is it's bringing back players who are part of that previous dynasty, that dominance that USC experienced. So you got Matt Leinart, you got BMW Mike Williams. Every now and then you hear Lendell White pop off. I love hearing him pop off because he's got no filter. Let's get Reggie Bush back in the fold. Let's get some of the guys from the defense like a Brian Cushing or Ray, Clay Matthews. A lot of these young guys who are coming up today, they've seen highlights of these guys. They understand that, that's when USC was good. That was the last time they think USC was good. Well, let's bring those guys in, and so they can explain to today's generation what made USC so good, what was involved, the type of attitude it took. So bringing back a Mike Williams, Matt Leinart, these old players, that's only a good thing. It's a positive. I've talked about it. Bring back those old school guys. Have them show up as often as possible. Make them feel welcome. Lincoln Riley is starting to kind of gotten on board with that. Look, I think Mike Williams started to feel that desire to come back to USC last year. One of his former high school players was taking some visits to USC and UCLA in the same week. And the player tweeted about it. And so Coach Mike said, hey, don't put us in the same tweet with them ever again. He was joking, saying, hey, don't ever mention USC and UCLA in the same breath. Once again, I think this is a great move for USC. Bring back the players from the last Trojan dynasty. It's a smart move. They can start talking and kind of bragging and building up that excitement. Get the local high school kids, or even kids from across the country, wanting to come to USC. All right. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Getting Mike Williams back, huge. He was really excited. It almost looked like he was ready to cry, but he could not wait to get off the phone, make some phone calls, and he's like, Coach, when do I start? When do I come out there? He was ready to get on the plane. I was kind of half hoping to see him at the spring game. Didn't happen, but whatever. We'll see him soon enough. Welcome back to the family, Mike Williams. Good to have you. So there it is. Another episode of Locked on USC. Talked about the spring game. There was a lot of recruits there. We're going to talk about that throughout the week. We're going to talk more about the transfer portal because it's still going on and USC needs to use it. We're going to talk more about the spring game. Who were some of the standout players? We talked about the groups that look good. Well, we're going to break it down a little bit further. We're going to talk about the players from those groups. Who look good? Who needs to work a little bit harder? What was missing? All that type of stuff. We're going to talk about that all week long on Locked on USC. So make sure you tune in. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell notification button. So until that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.